Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Robert Stickle. I'm also joined by my colleagues Jim Patterson and Paul Estabrooks. Jim and Paul will be today's presenters and will discuss the topic of how to manage a product roadmap in OnePlan. This webinar is a new addition to our extensive catalog of project and portfolio management webinars, so if you enjoy this video, feel free to watch the others we have available on our channel and look towards the next installment, which we'll be releasing soon. And as always, I hope that today's presentation grants you some insight into the world of project and portfolio management and gets you excited for the new developments happening within the industry and here at OnePlan. Thank you again, and I'll now turn the presentation over to Jim.
Thank you, Robert, and welcome everybody. In the continuation of our theme here on product portfolio management, today we're going to talk about how to manage a product roadmap in OnePlan. Product roadmaps being an integral part of product portfolio management and overall product management. And we'll talk about how OnePlan can help you with that. So with that, let's get started. So from a one-on-one perspective, what is a product roadmap? Well, a product roadmap is really a tool for communicating. It's a tool for communicating not only your product vision, but also for putting your product plans in action. So it's taking that vision, putting it into action, and setting some expectations of what it is that we're going to be doing. Now, the components of that product roadmap is based on a variety of things. It comes in from your customer ideas, feature requests, internal input from your people in the product development areas, and the backlogs that are currently defined for work in those products as well. You boil that all together and you come up with the selected things that you want to put on your roadmap that you want to deliver. Now, you don't do this in a vacuum. To be effective, the product strategy and roadmap need to be linked to the overall business objectives of the organization. We're going to talk about how these things align, and they're all interrelated, and you got to factor all of that in if you're going to have an effective roadmap that you can deliver on that's actually going to deliver value, not only for your customers, but also for the organization. The other key thing it does is it drives alignment. It drives alignment of your key stakeholders, and it helps with decision making on guiding investment, the planning, the timing, and it outlines those key decisions and evaluates the options for each product as to what we're going to invest our time, money, and effort into. Now, this is not a static exercise where you build this roadmap and you put it on a wall and you say, here's our roadmap. It should evolve. It should be continuously adjusted based on shifting customer needs and market demands, which are getting more and more accelerated in today's landscape. So why are roadmaps important in this whole process? Well, the nature of companies that deliver products and the process of delivering products is a significant and a very complex effort. And it requires cross-functional participation, but also cross-functional commitment and accountability to a plan of what we're going to put together. It's also an essential part of the strategic planning process for organizations that are product focused, the ones that are delivering products to the marketplace. And it requires a lot of cross collaboration and different layers of the organization or levels of the organization to have conversations about where to invest and why. It really is the conduit or the point where we take that strategy and it transitions over into execution on the things that we're going to deliver by these product teams as we develop these products and bring them out to market. The other key important thing from a communication perspective is it's relied on by other parts of the organization outside of product management. For example, having transparency, visualization, and communication is important, for example, for marketing and sales, being able to share with their customers or prospective customers what's coming and what's in the plan. We often get asked for roadmaps of what's coming when we talk to customers. Engineering needs to understand where they need to go as they're starting to do R&D and other parts of it that may be required for where the company wants to take their different products. The executives need to understand where things are going and it affects their decision making. Customer support needs to be able to share this with customers, and customers themselves want to understand where the products that they're investing in, where they're going and what's coming. And the idea is that these are good vehicles to be able to communicate that to these audiences. Now, what are some of the key elements that are in a roadmap? Now, depending on the type of communication you want to provide, and the details and the perspectives and the context can vary. but roadmaps will incorporate generally some key elements. One will be the goals and objectives, which is really the critical accomplishments or directions to deliver these products. There's the initiatives, which AKA like projects, they're high-level themes regarding how these efforts will contribute to the actual goals of the organization. So these initiatives actually contribute to achieving those goals. Then you have releases. When you have these products, they're generally different versions or releases of the product, which really unleashes new product functionality containing multiple features that are delivered together. There's the epics, and in an agile context, these are generally larger collections of work that typically span multiple releases, but ultimately are broken into multiple features that you're going to deliver as part of this product execution. And then there's the features themselves, which are really the more specific pieces of new or improved functionality that results in additional value to the user base that your products are targeted to. And then there's the timeline concept. This time phasing, or this perspective of time, is a visualization of when the roadmap elements will occur or be delivered over time. So just some high-level descriptions of things you might incorporate into a roadmap. Now, to build that roadmap to get to your ultimate objectives for the products one is it really has to start with a product strategy, which is the why behind your efforts. What is it that we want to accomplish and why? What is the reason for the business doing this in the first place? And then you must gather, review, and manage ideas. And we talked about the inputs to this can come from a variety of sources, but then you have to organize these, vet them, prioritize them, possibly score them per your strategy and see how relevant they are to where you want to go, and then make the selections of what you're going to actually invest in based upon that analysis. And then you define the specific features and requirements that are going to have to be delivered and developed as part of that process. And you have to identify this in enough specificity to get them into the product. And then you have to organize into releases, and this is the whens. So you don't deliver everything at once in a product. Products tend to evolve over time. And the when for the features to be delivered would be these incremental or iterative ways that you actually get things into the product as you gradually improve and evolve your product. And then there's the roadmap views themselves. And this is the visualizations we're going to talk about today, tailored for the intended audience, the picture you want to convey, and have the elements in there and the right horizons that you'd like to see them in. Now, some tips for successful roadmaps. One is it's not a static document. It's something that needs to be updated frequently, and it should reflect changes in the strategy. As your leadership changes strategy, your roadmap should be adjusted. Or as you see the landscape or the market changing and the customer market needs change, you must update the roadmap to reflect that if you want to be successful and relevant. The roadmap should also be executive friendly, be high level enough and strategically focused, yet intuitive to tell a picture and a story that is easily understood. And then set your timelines accordingly. In this day and age, I had alluded to the fact that the pace of change is increasing. And the pace of change realities makes it so that, surveys have said that the average horizon of a roadmap these days is 9 months, because anything out past that 9 to 12 month horizon is probably subject to change many times over by the time you get there. Focus on the things that you can control, things that you want to communicate, and things that you want to reasonably demonstrate some commitment to. Also, because things are changing, be prepared to reprioritize these things frequently. Treat your backlog that you have of existing things that you want to do and your roadmap for how you want to communicate this as a dynamic and cohesive system. The things that you're actively working on, the backlog that you're actively considering, should be part of this dynamic process to keep this a living, breathing artifact that this roadmap is designed to be. And the other thing is to use more agile approaches, and product-oriented and software organizations are more and more adapting to agile approaches. And the reason for this is because you deliver more incrementally, iteratively, and in doing so, you can be more adaptive and responsive to those changes that we talked about. And at the end of the day, be more confident that by the time you deliver, the things you're delivering are still relevant or still wanted by the marketplace, hence keeping you more relevant and making it more economically viable for you to deliver that to the marketplace and to your customers. Now, OnePlan, we're going to show you today, really provides a lot of these dimensions that you'd feed into a roadmap. There's more than just the projects themselves or the product development or the initiatives that have to go into this. As we mentioned, there's the business leaders who develop the strategies, and OnePlan has the ability to define that strategic plan. There's the execution leaders, the ones that actually have to deliver on the initiatives and the epics and the features and actually get that product out the door. And then there's the technology aspects, the product leaders that have to have the focus on what underlying fundamental technological pieces may be required, or other aspects that have to be considered that might have to be adjusted in order to deliver the things we want to deliver. So OnePlan really helps by giving you the ability to manage an entire portfolio of these efforts, allows you to have more traditional views like lists of data like you might want, or maybe more agile type of board views to give those perspectives that you might want. But today we're going to focus on these roadmap views that allow you to have flexibly created roadmaps to paint the picture based upon the different dimensions we discussed earlier in the slides. On top of that, we have the resource planning that allows you to determine the resource aspects of that, the financial planning that actually helps us do the financials and the returns that we might expect. Also the execution side, whether you use more waterfall or agile approaches, tying that execution all the way up that level and having team members be able to participate in those processes with feedback and status, all makes that kind of a tightly coupled process from the strategy on down to the actual teams that are actually performing the work. Now, there is also the demand aspect, and OnePlan addresses this as well. You may have ideation of ideas that come in. You may have formal project requests or product requests that come in. You might have some business opportunities that come in that might come in from, say, a CRM system or another request vehicle. The idea is to have them all come through a funnel into one common control structure such that OnePlan can provide that, where you can ultimately vet, prioritize, evaluate, further build out the case, and compare things to one another and value them against one another and how they meet the strategic objectives. And the idea is to be able to analyze that in a way that helps us make good decisions and select the right things to do. On top of that, we mentioned that strategic alignment. OnePlan has the capabilities to actually build and execute on a strategic plan. In this case, we're showing objectives and some tangible key results that are measurable as to whether or not we're actually on progress to actually complete that objective or achieve it. On top of that, you can see it layered on top of our project portfolio or our product portfolio, such that we can make sure that we're factoring in that alignment as we're making our decisions and make sure that we're working on the right things that contribute to where leadership wants to go with the entire organization. So the strategic alignment is one aspect of that, aligning that to your projects and your products. There's the other aspects to the products, whether it be applications or business capabilities or other aspects that need to be factored in to determine whether or not we can deliver or what has to be tackled in order for us to successfully deliver. And these things can all be interrelated to help us achieve the business outcomes and get the right products out the door at the right time with the right capabilities. OnePlan provides all these elements within one solution, whether it be the enterprise architecture aspects, including the product portfolio, the strategic plan, and the alignment to that project or initiative portfolio that makes sense for the products that we're going to deliver. And then reporting, being able to see how all these complex interrelations are working, being understanding with a certain strategy and see what products are tied to that strategy, or looking at a product and see what products or programs or things it's interrelated with and have different visuals that help us better understand and comprehend the byplay that happens between all these different aspects. And then ultimately, we're going to talk to you today about how you can structure roadmap views and tie all these associations together from OnePlan, but have it be based on dynamic data, not just have it be some static piece of data that we might have in a PowerPoint or a spreadsheet. It's really a living, breathing aspect or a view of what it is we're working on and what we're committing to. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Paul Estabrooks, who is going to give us a demonstration of how OnePlan handles these things.
Today's demo, I'm going to start with ideation, and then I'm going to walk through into OnePlan and sort of walk through the roadmap concepts and all the functionality that we have to support that. So I'm here, I'm actually in Teams, and I've got my ideation website up, and I've got a number of campaigns. One of my campaigns is new product ideas. And so we can crowdsource these ideas and then bring those into OnePlan to further vet and bring forward. So if I just click on this really quickly, you can see I've got a couple of ideas in here that have got some votes on them, and we're out capturing ideas from the organization, from anyone who may have a role to play or may have a voice in this and wants to provide an idea of something that they've seen. Perhaps it's an improvement to a product or a whole new product within a category. So you can see we got a couple of ideas in here, and the concept would be I could then promote these into OnePlan and vet them from there, and ergonomic keyboards has been moved over. So if I jump over to OnePlan and I look at my product portfolio, and we've lined this up by our various product lines, and so you could see here that there's that ergonomic keyboards, it's still in a proposed stage, and I have a bunch of other products. Before I dive into those, one of the things that we think is really important, and you can see it here, we are associated objectives. We are aligned to specific objectives within the organization, and captured here in OnePlan is our entire, the corporate strategy. So we have these components here as well. We have our corporate objectives, and underneath that we have our key results. So we've captured that information here, and just like we could associate our enterprise architecture to that, or our overall project portfolio, today we can also associate with that in the product portfolio where we are within that list. So if I jump down here to my product alignment view and I expand that, you will see, as I showed there a minute ago, we've got this organized by product line, and within that I have my associated objectives. So I have a clear understanding of the relationship between our products and our corporate objectives. Which products have a profound impact on a specific corporate objective, and if we prioritize those objectives, then we have an understanding of how the product portfolio is impacting the goals of the organization. That linkage is very important for us to understand and to have that constant visibility to that as we make decisions. I'm going to dive into this particular product and spend some time here. So you can see it has a governance workflow. So I can follow along sort of that typical process of new product development as we go. It has information that may have started over in the ideation stage, but is now moving forward. We have a product vision and so forth, prioritization. So we've prioritized this particular product itself and overall health. Down here, we're also tracking other associations. So we want to know what personas map to this particular product. We want to know competitors and so forth. We may also want to know key results. Going back to our corporate strategy, which specific key results does this product have an impact on? And so in any other types of points of intersection that we want to track, we can track those here. So we have a keen understanding of where this product fits in our organization and its role in driving us forward. What we also want to know is, we're going to work on this product and take it to market. When do we need resources, and what resources do we need? So we can leverage our resource planning capabilities in our tool to map out the types of roles we need, the quantity of those roles, in some cases maybe the named individuals that need to be a part of this overall product delivery exercise. So that we have that visibility to that and can understand how the demands of this project, or this product rather, map against all the other products in our organization and the other work that we're trying to do, to understand where we may have resource and bottlenecks. And you can see just based on the color coding here where we may have some challenges, and we're going to have to navigate and work through those. Likewise, the product itself has a budget, it has an investment. We need to understand that and understand where it's coming from, both in terms of the cost of the resources and other costs we might want to track. What is its budget, and how are we performing against that as we go forward and develop this product? So specifically for the roadmap, if I jump over to the work plan, I'm going to look at a few things here. First off, we're going to look at the list, the schedule view, and here's what I want to do from a road mapping perspective. I want to first start by plotting out my release schedule, and I'm just going to shrink that so you can see it a little bit better. Move that over, and you can see that I've got this overarching release. So I've set up my releases, and in each release we're going to review a backlog. Ultimately, we're going to get to some development of new features or new capabilities within our product, and then launch those and so forth. And I can go here and view I can view the timeline and see how my releases view, and provide that sort of customary type of view of where those releases land. And I'll show that a little bit more later in the actual corporate roadmap. But I wanted to show you first how we can set up those releases, view that as a schedule. And now if I switch over to my backlog view, now I'm going to go a layer deeper. And I'm going to look at my feature list and where we're going to put the various components and things that we need to build. But I want to kind of dive into a slightly different view before I get into sprint planning itself. And here I can see we've prioritized the features themselves. So we've done some analysis of the various features that we want to deploy, and we've used weighted shortest job first prioritization to understand that the customer account dashboard is our highest priority feature set that we need to work on, and on down you can see the different features and how they rank. So that's important information for us as we're making our planning decisions to understand the priority of the various features and where we should invest our time and how we should line them up to the release. So back to my planning, I can now look at all of those capabilities. I'm going to just show my sprints on here. And now I want to plan at the very tactical level, how do these items make it into the sprints that map back to those releases. And so you could see in here that, I haven't put everything into this particular release, so I could start to align these items to which sprints I want them in, and just keep adding them to sprints and giving that capability. You can see as I do that, the sprints are being populated with the items that I'm adding to that particular sprint as I plan this out. And at the start of each release, I would revisit this and decide, has something come into play that we need to add or bump forward? Do we want to revisit our backlog, which is right here on the screen? And what is the next sprint we're going to do, or the 2 or 3 sprints we might do in a release? And where are we going to put these key user stories and product backlog items so that we advance the development of the product? So it starts with defining what the product is and where it fits to our strategy, what resources we're going to need over the life cycle, what is that budget, how we're going to lay out our releases for this particular product, and then get into the tactical planning of when we're going to deliver on specific features and user stories as we move forward with that new product development and progressively launch those capabilities. So we've sort of worked through all of that. That's for one product. Now we want to kind of take it back to the portfolio level, and I'm going to jump back to here, and we have a couple of other views that sort of bring this full circle. One is I might want to go look at my board, so I'm going to go look at the board, a board view I've created that shows which products are in proposed, active, and on hold and so forth, but I've also created lanes on this particular view that shows those product lines, so I can see the interrelationship between the different products within a product line and even across product lines, and where we are. What's my portfolio look like? Some are in proposed, active, and so forth. And then I'll conclude here. I'm going to go to my product roadmap by product line. Here's all my products. This is my overall product map. And as you can see here, if I hover over it, these are when those different releases will be. There's release 1 and release 2 of that particular product. So now I can see how do those releases interrelate with each other. You can see a couple here that are very close to each other and so forth, and then some are staggered. So we have a complete picture of where's our product roadmap, when are those releases occurring. We also can see on here the status of our projects, or our products rather. You can see one is red. We might want to dive into that in a bit more detail to make sure it stays on track. We understand sort of the interrelationship once again between products within a product line as well as across product lines where applicable, and we have that complete picture. So in this demo, we've looked at ideation and how you might capture that using Microsoft tools like ideation apps and teams. We've looked at how we vet those products, how we make decisions around them, how they align to our strategy. It's crucial to understand how the product portfolio drives forward the organization's overall objectives. And then we've dove into a product where we can define everything we need to know about that product, from its personas to its competitors to its SWOT analysis and so forth, figured out what resources we need, what is the budget and how we're going to track it, planned our releases, and then started to manage our backlog and align the user stories and other items to the appropriate sprints so that we can deliver value as quickly as possible. And then we've zoomed out to see how this overlays as a roadmap for everybody. And with that, I'll conclude today's demo. Back to you, Jim.
All right, well, let's summarize and talk about some potential next steps. So in the concepts that we talked about how product roadmaps are important tools for communicating your product vision and putting your product plans into action. Product strategy and roadmap need to be linked to the overall business objectives of the organization to make them relevant and making sure we're cohesively in sync. The roadmap promotes cross-functional alignment and commitment, and so we all see what's expected and what direction we're all headed together. And that roadmaps should be dynamic and not static, meaning things like PowerPoint drawings or spreadsheets probably aren't the most suitable tools for these, and that road mapping tools like we see here in OnePlan should be preferred to doing those types of things, and it's based on real data. And OnePlan provides strategic portfolio management capabilities that align with other things and associate to things like product and strategy and tie them to the execution so that we have a cohesive plan that factors in all those dimensions. And OnePlan provides a capability to do dynamic roadmap views based on real and current data. So Paul showed you one aspect of that, but they can be sliced by product, by goal, by customer, by persona. All those things that we talked about within there are ways that we can shift and look at that roadmap view. And then OnePlan really is developed for the Microsoft Cloud, and we do provide the most complete set of these SPM capabilities and product portfolio and road mapping capabilities in the Microsoft Cloud. So if you're a Microsoft shop, definitely take a look at us to see what value we can deliver for you. Now, we focus on this area of portfolio management, whether it be project portfolio management, whether it be product portfolio management. That's our passion. We have a number of Microsoft Gold certifications, but where we live is in this project and portfolio management realm. We've been actually named their Global Partner of the Year in project and portfolio management multiple times, including this current year. And the analysts have recognized us for those particular achievements as well. Now, we're here to help you to whatever degree you'd like to be helped. Whether it be standing up the technology to help support the things you saw here today, or the people and process side of things as you transform into some new practices. We're here with the capabilities on the consulting and the technology side to help you in the way that you need. Now, we give webinars like this all the time, and we're in the current process of publishing out 2 new live webinars that'll be available to us over the next couple of weeks. And we again, do these typically weekly, but if you go to oneplan.ai/webinars, you'll see any live webinars that are coming up, plus a rich library of on-demand webinars with prior topics that you might find of interest if this subject matter is of interest to you. Now, you can also try a free trial. If you go up to microsoftsappsource.com, we have different trial options up there for the strategic portfolio management or agile or adaptive portfolio management. And potentially even we can help you with a product portfolio management template. But the idea here is that we can either help you with a trial and chaperone you through that. We can actually hold a roadmap workshop to determine what it would take to get you to use these tools or what it would take to get you there, including a review and a use of your current tools and methods, look at where you'd like to get to and what it would take to do that, including investment, because being that we use a lot of the Microsoft tools, you may already own a good chunk of what you need in order to make this happen. So overall, take us up on that free trial and we'll chaperone you. Take us up on the roadmap workshop. Or if you're not quite there yet, you want to see more than the webinar demo, we can schedule a personalized one-on-one demo to address your specific requirements, user stories, use cases, and focus it more on what you're looking to do. You can reach out to us at contact@oneplan.ai. You can look up more stuff about these topics at www.oneplan.ai, or feel free to reach out to Paul or myself individually if you feel so inclined. One way or another, we'd love to engage with you. Our passion is really to invest in success. We invest in our customer success, and we really do hope to engage with you and help you along that road. So with that, we hopefully can show you that we can provide one interface one experience that provides one plan to do all the things we talked about here today with the OnePlan solution. Thank you for your time today and have a great day.